SUVs dominate the roads today, and for good reason. They're marketed as safe, reliable, and family-friendly. But what if that image isn't always true? Believe it or not, several SUVs across global markets have scored 0 stars in official safety ratings, exposing dangerous flaws in vehicles people trust every day. These failures aren't minor. We're talking about SUVs with collapsing cabins in crash tests, seat belts that don't hold, airbags that fail to deploy, or missing basic safety tech entirely. For buyers who assume size equals safety, these results are a wake-up call. In this countdown, we're looking at 14 SUVs that scored 0 in safety ratings. These are the vehicles that didn't just fall short, they failed completely. From budget models sold in emerging markets to surprising entries from major manufacturers, each one shows how dangerous the gap can be between marketing promises and reality. Number 14. Jeep Wrangler. The Jeep Wrangler is a legend on the trails, but its performance in crash testing reveals a worrying side of this off-road icon. While its boxy frame and rugged build make it a favorite for outdoor enthusiasts, the Wrangler has struggled in modern safety evaluations. One of the biggest issues comes from the small overlap frontal crash test conducted by the IIHS. This test simulates hitting a pole or the corner of another vehicle. Instead of holding its ground, the Wrangler has a tendency to tip over entirely during impact. For drivers, that transforms what should be a survivable crash into a dangerous rollover situation, one of the deadliest accident types. Even in tests where it didn't roll, the Wrangler's safety cage integrity earned only a marginal rating, with excessive intrusion into the driver's space. The steering wheel movement and floor pan deformation raised risks of leg injuries, which are especially serious in high-speed crashes. Side impact protection has also been a concern. While it has side airbags, the Wrangler's flat doors and upright pillars don't absorb crash forces as well as modern unibody SUVs. For passengers, that translates into more energy transferred directly to the body during a collision. It's worth noting that many buyers choose the Wrangler for its off-road prowess, removable roof, and heritage styling, not for cutting-edge safety, but for daily driving in cities and highways where most accidents actually occur. Its shortcomings can't be overlooked. In a market where rivals like the Subaru Outback or Toyota RAV4 earn top marks for crash protection, the Wrangler's low ratings make it stand out for the wrong reasons. The Jeep Wrangler proves that being tough on the outside doesn't guarantee safety on the inside. Number 13. Jeep Grand Cherokee. The Jeep Grand Cherokee has long been marketed as the more refined sibling to the Wrangler, an SUV that blends luxury with rugged capability. It's popular with families and commuters alike, but crash test results have shown that even this flagship Jeep has some troubling weaknesses. In IIHS small overlap crash testing, which simulates striking a tree, pole, or the front corner of another vehicle, the Grand Cherokee struggled. On the driver's side, it managed only a marginal rating. On the passenger side, the results were even worse, slipping to a poor rating. Engineers observed significant intrusion into the passenger compartment, with the dashboard and footwell collapsing inward. For anyone sitting in the right seat, this meant a much higher risk of leg and hip injuries. While larger SUVs often create a sense of security simply because of their size, the Grand Cherokee shows that bulk isn't always protection. Despite its premium price and reputation, its cabin structure didn't hold up to modern safety expectations. The Grand Cherokee does include a suite of advanced safety technologies, such as blind spot monitoring and adaptive cruise control, but these can only go so far if the vehicle's frame doesn't provide adequate crash protection. Competitors like the Honda Passport and Toyota Highlander perform significantly better in the same tests, making Jeep's results stand out for the wrong reasons. For buyers who view the Grand Cherokee as a safe, family-friendly SUV, these findings are a sobering reminder. Comfort, capability, and style don't mean much if the cabin can't shield its occupants in a serious collision. The Grand Cherokee's crash test ratings prove that even a respected upscale SUV can fail to deliver where it matters most, keeping people safe in real-world accidents. Number 12. Ford Escape. The Ford Escape is one of the most common compact SUVs on American roads. Affordable, widely available, and sized just right for families, it's often chosen as a safe bet. But crash testing has shown that the Escape falls short in some critical ways, making it less protective than many of its direct competitors. The most troubling issue came from the passenger-side small overlap frontal crash test conducted by the IIHS. In this test, the Escape scored a poor rating. Engineers observed major intrusion into the passenger-side footwell and dashboard area. For the dummy inside, that translated into a high risk of injuries to the legs and hips. On the driver's side, it didn't fare much better, earning only an acceptable rating instead of the top good mark. The Escape also underperformed in front crash prevention technology. While rivals like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V earned superior scores for automatic emergency braking, the Escape's system only managed a basic rating. That means it didn't reliably prevent collisions in IIHS testing, a serious shortfall in an era when advanced driver assist systems are expected, even in budget trims. Side impact protection was mixed as well. While airbags deployed correctly, the forces recorded on crash test dummies were higher than those in competing vehicles, suggesting greater risk of injury in real-world accidents. Buyers often pick the Escape because it's practical and affordable. But compared to SUVs in the same price range, it simply doesn't provide the same level of safety. For families who expect their everyday commuter to double as a shield in a crash, that's a concerning gap. The Ford Escape's ratings prove that popularity doesn't equal protection. Sometimes the most common SUVs on the road are far from the safest. Number 11. Chevrolet Equinox. The Chevrolet Equinox is a familiar face in driveways across America. It's marketed as a dependable compact SUV, combining practicality with a reasonable price. But while it continues to sell well, crash test results show that the Equinox has struggled to match the safety levels of its top competitors. One of the main concerns lies in small overlap frontal crash tests. When tested, the Equinox showed noticeable intrusion into the driver's footwell and dashboard area. This raised the likelihood of injuries to the lower body, especially the legs and hips. For a vehicle intended to be a family-friendly daily driver, this weakness stands out sharply against rivals like the Honda CR-V and Subaru Forester, both of which earned top scores in the same category. The Equinox also lagged behind in front crash prevention. Automatic emergency braking, which has become a must-have in modern vehicles, didn't perform as well as expected. While some trims offered better technology packages, base models often lacked the advanced features standard on competitors. In testing, the system didn't consistently prevent low-speed collisions, and higher speed scenarios exposed its limitations. Side impact protection was another weak area. While airbags did their job, the SUV structure didn't absorb crash forces as effectively as some peers. In collisions with larger vehicles, a common reality on U.S. roads, this vulnerability becomes even more significant. The frustration with the Equinox is that it's a familiar, affordable option people assume is safe simply because of its popularity. Yet when stacked against other compact SUVs, it fails to inspire the same confidence. For families choosing their everyday runabout, those compromises can carry real risks. The Chevrolet Equinox shows that even long-standing models with strong sales numbers can under-deliver when it comes to the most important feature of all: protecting lives. Number 10. Nissan Rogue. The Nissan Rogue is one of the best-selling compact SUVs in the U.S., chosen by families for its space, fuel economy, and affordability. On the surface, it seems like a practical, no-nonsense choice. But while it has improved in recent years, earlier crash test results revealed serious safety concerns that shouldn't be ignored. The most notable issue came in small overlap frontal crash testing conducted by the IIHS. The Rogue earned only a marginal rating on the driver's side and an even lower poor rating on the passenger's side. In these tests, which simulate striking a utility pole or the corner of another vehicle, the Rogue's cabin showed significant intrusion. The crash dummy's legs and feet recorded forces indicating a high risk of injury, the kind of outcome drivers least expect in a modern SUV. The Rogue also underperformed in side impact protection. Although airbags deployed properly, the overall forces recorded inside the cabin were higher than average, particularly to the torso area. In collisions with larger vehicles, like the trucks and SUVs that dominate U.S. highways, this raised the risk of severe injury. While Nissan did fit the Rogue with features like forward collision warning and optional emergency braking, the effectiveness of these systems wasn't enough to offset the structural weaknesses revealed in crash testing. Competitors like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V not only scored higher across the board, but also included more advanced driver assist features as standard. The Nissan Rogue's popularity highlights a troubling reality. Sales success doesn't guarantee safety. For families expecting peace of mind from one of the most common SUVs in America, the Rogue's uneven crash test performance shows that reputation can sometimes hide serious flaws. Number 9. Dodge Journey. The Dodge Journey is one of those SUVs that lingered on the market far past its expiration date. First introduced in the late 2000s, it remained on sale in the U.S. for over a decade with only minor updates. By the time it was discontinued, the Journey had become notorious not just for being outdated, but also for its poor safety performance. In crash testing, the Journey repeatedly came up short. The IIHS Small Overlap Frontal Crash Test exposed serious weaknesses in the vehicle's structure. Engineers reported significant intrusion into the driver's area, with forces suggesting high risks of leg and foot injuries. The safety cage simply wasn't strong enough to protect occupants in modern crash scenarios. Side impact protection was another major weakness. In tests simulating a collision with another SUV or truck, the Journey failed to provide adequate shielding. The structure allowed high levels of force into the cabin, raising the risk of head and torso injuries even when airbags deployed. Adding to the problem, the Journey lagged far behind competitors in safety technology. Features like automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, and blind spot monitoring, common in rivals like the Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot, were either missing or only available on higher trims. For many buyers who picked the Journey because of its low price, this meant driving an SUV without the critical safety tech that had become standard elsewhere. The Journey sold largely on affordability and space, but safety ratings showed the compromises were severe. By the end of its run, it wasn't just outdated. It was one of the least safe SUVs you could buy new in America. The Dodge Journey stands as a reminder that bargain pricing can sometimes mask very real risks. Number 8. Ford Edge. The Ford Edge has always been positioned as a stylish midsize SUV, designed to slot between smaller crossovers and full-size family haulers. With its sleek looks and comfortable ride, it attracted plenty of buyers. But while it offered good space and convenience, its safety record revealed issues that kept it from ranking among the best in class. One of the most concerning problems with the Edge came from recalls tied to braking systems. In certain models, rear brake hoses were prone to leaking fluid over time, which could significantly reduce braking performance. The NHTSA warned that this defect raised the risk of crashes, especially during emergency stops. For families relying on their SUV to stop safely in sudden situations, this was a major red flag. In addition to recalls, the Edge's performance in crash testing was mixed. While it performed adequately in some areas, the small overlap frontal crash test revealed weaknesses in the structure, earning only mid-level ratings. Engineers noted intrusion into the driver's space, which increased the potential for leg injuries. In a class where competitors like the Subaru Outback and Hyundai Santa Fe were scoring top marks, the Edge's results fell short. Side impact protection also left something to be desired. Although airbags were in place, the structural design allowed more force into the cabin than in many rival SUVs. For passengers, that meant less assurance in common intersection collisions. The Ford Edge's struggles were compounded by the fact that many rivals included advanced driver assist features as standard. The Edge offered them, but often only on higher trims or packages, making safety more expensive. The Edge proved that being stylish and comfortable isn't enough if a vehicle doesn't consistently deliver when tested. Safety isn't optional, and in this area, the Edge underwhelmed. Number 7. GMC Hummer EV. The GMC Hummer EV grabbed headlines as one of the most extreme electric vehicles ever produced. Massive, powerful, and packed with futuristic features. With over 9,000 pounds of curb weight, it feels more like a tank than a passenger SUV. But when it comes to safety, the Hummer EV raises concerns that make it one of the most controversial new SUVs on the road. The biggest issue isn't crash protection for its own occupants. The Hummer EV is so heavy and solidly built that those inside are relatively well shielded. The problem is what happens to other vehicles and people it collides with. Safety experts have pointed out that in crashes involving lighter cars, the sheer mass of the Hummer EV transfers enormous force into the smaller vehicle, greatly increasing the chance of fatalities for others. Pedestrian safety is also a major concern, as the weight and acceleration of the Hummer EV make it especially dangerous in urban environments. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, IIHS, has also flagged the risks of oversized EVs like the Hummer. While crash ratings for its own cabin protection are still being evaluated, its weight raises red flags for rollovers, braking distance, and crash energy management. A vehicle this massive requires longer stopping distances, and when systems fail or drivers misjudge its bulk, the results can be catastrophic. Another concern is visibility. With its towering ride height and wide body, the Hummer EV has large blind spots that make spotting smaller cars, cyclists, or pedestrians more difficult. Combined with its mass, this makes low-speed accidents potentially devastating. The Hummer EV might look like the future of electric performance, but its safety reputation is far more complicated. For those sharing the road with it, it represents a serious risk, proving that size and power don't always equal safety. Number 6. Nissan Murano. The Nissan Murano has always stood out with its stylish design and comfortable ride, often marketed as a premium choice among mid-size SUVs. It's sleek, quiet, and appeals to drivers who want something more upscale than a typical family hauler. But despite its modern looks, the Murano has faced serious criticism in safety testing. One of the most striking issues was revealed in IIHS passenger-side small overlap crash testing. While many SUVs in its class earned good ratings, the Murano managed only a marginal rating. Engineers observed significant structural intrusion on the passenger side, particularly around the footwell. This raised the risk of leg and lower body injuries for front seat occupants. In real-world terms, that means a seemingly survivable crash could result in lasting harm. Adding to the concerns, the Murano has underperformed in front crash prevention technology. Automatic emergency braking, a feature increasingly standard in rivals, was less reliable in Murano testing. While it could reduce impact speeds at lower velocities, it failed to perform as consistently in higher speed situations, where the consequences are often more severe. Side impact performance was also less than impressive. While airbags deployed, the forces transmitted to occupants' torsos and heads were higher than those seen in leading competitors. When lined up against SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe or Subaru Outback, the Murano's results made it clear that Nissan was lagging behind in key safety benchmarks. These shortcomings are particularly disappointing because the Murano's price and image position it as a more premium SUV. Buyers expected to deliver not just comfort and technology, but also class-leading protection. Instead, it fell short of expectations in several crucial areas. The Nissan Murano proves that even stylish, comfortable SUVs can hide troubling safety gaps. Beneath its polished image, the reality is that better protecting options exist in the same segment. Number 5. Mitsubishi Outlander. The Mitsubishi Outlander has been a staple in the compact SUV market for years, appealing to budget-conscious buyers with its 3-row seating and long warranty. On paper, it seems like a great value proposition. But when it comes to safety, the Outlander has struggled to keep up with the competition, revealing some troubling weaknesses in crash testing. In small overlap frontal crash tests conducted by the IIHS, the Outlander showed structural weaknesses that allowed intrusion into the driver's space. This increased the risk of leg and foot injuries, a particularly concerning result for a vehicle marketed toward families. On the passenger side, the results were even less encouraging, highlighting inconsistencies in how well the SUV could protect occupants depending on where the impact occurred. Front crash prevention technology also lagged behind rivals. While the Outlander offered automatic emergency braking, its system didn't consistently prevent collisions during testing, earning it lower marks than competitors like the Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4. Given that these technologies are becoming the standard for modern vehicles, Mitsubishi's weaker showing stood out. Side impact testing also exposed limitations. While airbags functioned properly, the forces transmitted into the cabin were higher than in many leading compact SUVs, suggesting less effective occupant protection. For buyers expecting peace of mind in busy intersections or urban traffic, that was a significant drawback. The Outlander's shortcomings are especially disappointing because Mitsubishi positions it as a family SUV with extra seating capacity. Families don't just want space, they want reassurance that their passengers will be protected in the worst-case scenario. Unfortunately, the Outlander has consistently fallen short of the benchmarks set by its rivals. Ultimately, the Mitsubishi Outlander proves that low prices and long warranties can't make up for weak crash performance. Safety should be the foundation of any family vehicle, and in this case, the Outlander simply doesn't deliver. Number 4. Fiat 500X. The Fiat 500X was introduced as a way to bring Italian style and flair into the compact SUV market. Sharing its platform with Jeep's Renegade, the 500X was marketed as a fun, fashionable alternative to more mainstream choices. But when it came to safety, the results told a very different story, one that put style well ahead of substance. In IHS small overlap frontal crash testing, the 500X scored poorly compared to its rivals. The structure showed significant weakness, with intrusion into the driver's space that raised the likelihood of serious leg and foot injuries. The steering column also shifted in ways that increased the risk of chest injuries. These kinds of results are especially concerning given that this test is designed to replicate common real-world accidents, like striking a tree or pole. Side impact protection was another area where the 500X under-delivered. While side airbags deployed as intended, the narrow body and weaker frame meant higher forces were transmitted into the cabin. Against larger vehicles, a frequent reality on American roads, the 500X offered less protection than competitors in the same class. The lack of advanced driver assistance features further hurt its case. While rivals like the Subaru Crosstrek and Mazda CX-30 offered standard safety tech such as automatic emergency braking and lane-keeping assist, these features were either optional or limited on the 500X. For buyers expecting modern safety equipment, this left the Fiat feeling outdated and under-equipped. Ultimately, the Fiat 500X's poor safety results contributed to its decline in the U.S. market, where it has struggled to compete against better protecting compact SUVs. What was meant to be a stylish entry into a popular segment ended up exposing serious safety compromises. The Fiat 500X is proof that eye-catching design can't make up for weak crash performance when lives are on the line. Number 3. Ford Bronco II. The Ford Bronco II is infamous in American automotive history for one reason: rollovers. Produced from the mid-1980s through the early 1990s, it was marketed as a smaller, more affordable alternative to the full-size Bronco. But instead of earning loyalty for its utility, the Bronco II quickly became a symbol of instability and one of the most criticized SUVs ever sold in the U.S. crash data and safety reports from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, and consumer advocacy groups revealed a troubling trend. The Bronco II had a rollover rate far higher than most vehicles on the road. With its narrow track width, short wheelbase, and high center of gravity, even routine driving maneuvers could cause it to tip. Sudden swerves, lane changes, or highway curves taken at speed too often ended in rollovers, sometimes with tragic consequences. Investigations tied the Bronco II to hundreds of fatalities and thousands of injuries. Lawsuits piled up, accusing Ford of ignoring known stability issues during the SUV's development. Internal documents suggested the company was aware of the risks, but pushed the vehicle to market anyway to compete with popular small SUVs like the Chevrolet S10 Blazer. Unlike modern SUVs, which benefit from decades of engineering improvements and stability control systems, the Bronco II had none of those safeguards. When things went wrong, drivers were left with little chance to recover. Its reputation was so damaged that it's often cited in safety studies as a textbook example of poor vehicle design. Today, the Bronco II remains a cautionary tale. While it hasn't been on sale for decades, its legacy lingers as one of the most unsafe SUVs ever to hit American roads. It proved that cutting corners in design can have life-or-death consequences. Number 2. Dodge Durango. The Dodge Durango has always been pitched as a rugged, family-friendly SUV with the heart of a muscle car. It offers strong towing capacity, V8 power, and bold styling that appeals to drivers who want utility with attitude. But while it shines in performance, its safety record has been less impressive, especially in critical crash tests. The IIHS passenger-side small overlap crash test exposed one of the Durango's biggest weaknesses. In this evaluation, which replicates a crash into a fixed object like a tree or utility pole, the Durango's cabin structure showed excessive intrusion on the passenger side. That intrusion pushed into the footwell and dashboard, raising the risk of leg and lower body injuries. Instead of containing crash forces, the vehicle allowed them to penetrate the occupant space, a serious flaw in a family-oriented SUV. Side impact protection also lagged behind top rivals. While the airbags worked as designed, the structure transmitted more crash energy into the cabin than competing SUVs like the Honda Pilot or Toyota Highlander. This shortfall is especially concerning in the U.S., where larger vehicles dominate the roads, and side collisions often involve pickups and full-size SUVs. Another issue was advanced safety technology. While the Durango offered features like automatic emergency braking and lane-keeping assist, they were not standard on lower trims. Buyers drawn in by the Durango's relatively affordable base price often ended up without key driver assist systems that rivals included at no extra cost. That meant a sizable portion of Durangos on the road lacked essential modern safety protections. For a vehicle marketed to families who need space and security, these shortcomings are difficult to overlook. The Dodge Durango may deliver when it comes to performance and capability, but its uneven safety record makes it one of the more concerning choices in its class. Number 1. GMC Hummer EV. The GMC Hummer EV has been hailed as the ultimate electric supertruck, a showcase of power, technology, and excess. With over 9,000 pounds of curb weight, 1,000 horsepower, and a jaw-dropping price tag, it commands attention everywhere it goes. But while it may impress on paper, its safety implications are far more complicated, landing it at the top of this list. The sheer weight of the Hummer EV is its biggest liability. In a crash with smaller vehicles, which make up the majority of cars on U.S. roads, that mass translates into devastating forces. Safety experts have warned that while occupants inside the Hummer may walk away from a collision, those in the other vehicle face a much higher risk of severe injury or death. Simply put, the Hummer EV protects its own at the expense of everyone else on the road. Stopping distance is another concern. Despite massive brakes, the Hummer EV's weight means it requires a much longer distance to come to a full stop compared to smaller SUVs or sedans. In emergency situations, those extra feet can mean the difference between a near miss and a serious collision. Visibility also raises red flags. With its towering ride height and wide body, the Hummer EV has significant blind spots that make spotting pedestrians, cyclists, or compact cars more difficult. Combine that with its blistering acceleration, 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds, and you've got a vehicle that can overwhelm even careful drivers. While crash test ratings for the Hummer EV are still developing, concerns from the IIHS and NHTSA highlight the broader issue. Oversized electric vehicles bring new dangers to U.S. roads. The Hummer EV, as the most extreme example, embodies those risks. It may be a marvel of engineering, but in terms of road safety, the GMC Hummer EV is more menace than milestone. SUVs are often sold as safe, dependable family vehicles. But as this list shows, not all of them live up to that promise. From structural flaws to massive size-related risks, these models highlight that safety isn't guaranteed by reputation or marketing. The lesson is simple. Always look beyond the badge and sales pitch, because true protection is priceless.